This right here is probably the most famous molecule in all of science, the DNA double helix. It's the blueprint for, well, pretty much every living thing. But its beautiful, elegant structure holds some pretty surprising secrets. And in this explainer, we're going to unpack them one by one.
We've all seen this iconic twisted ladder shape. It's in every textbook, every science show. But have you ever really stopped and asked yourself, what's actually holding it all together? Here's a hint. Most people get the answer wrong. They focus on the rungs of the ladder, but the real secret to its amazing stability is hidden somewhere else entirely.
So, to figure out that secret, we first need to build this molecule from the ground up. And the best way to think about DNA is as a twisted ladder. So let's start with the basics, the long structural rails on the side.
So what are these rails even made of? Well, they're basically long chains, polymers if you want to get technical, built from a surprisingly simple two-part repeating pattern. The pattern is actually incredibly simple. You start with a sugar molecule, specifically deoxyribose. Then you link that to a phosphate group. That connection is called a phosphodiester bond, and it forms this really strong bridge between the sugar molecules. And you just repeat sugar, phosphate, over and over and over again to form the strong, stable backbone of our ladder. Now, what's really cool is that this chain has a direction, a concept we call polarity. Think of it like a one-way street. The names for the ends, 5' and 3', just refer to the carbon atoms on the sugar where things attach. The 5' end has a free phosphate, and the 3' end has a free hydroxyl group. But here's the crucial part. The two strands run in opposite directions. They're anti-parallel, kind of like the two lanes of a highway. And that setup is absolutely fundamental to how DNA gets read and copied.
Okay, so we've built the rails of our ladder. Now it's time for the most important part, the rungs. See, these aren't just for structure. They are the 4 chemical letters that carry all of our genetic information. This is where the code is. These rungs are made from 4 molecules called nitrogenous bases, and they come in 2 flavors. First, you've got the purines, adenine and guanine. They have a bigger double ring structure. A really great way to remember them is the mnemonic pure as gold. Pu for purines, A for adenine, G for guanine. The other type is the pyrimidines, cytosine and thymine. They have a smaller single ring structure. The trick here is cut the pie. C, U, and T are pyrimidines. Now, this fixed pairing of one big purine with one small pyrimidine is genius because it keeps the ladder's width perfectly consistent all the way down. Now, it turns out this pairing isn't random at all. Back in the 1950s, a biochemist named Erwin Chargaff discovered a super important rule. In any DNA sample, the amount of adenine always equals the amount of thymine, and the amount of guanine always equals the amount of cytosine. This simple observation, which we now call Chargaff's rule, was a massive clue that helps solve the whole puzzle of DNA's structure. Okay, let's put that rule to the test. Little pop quiz for you. If you know that a sample of DNA is made of 20% cytosine, can you figure out the percentage of thymine? I'll give you a second to think about it. All right, did you get it? Here's the answer. If cytosine is 20%, then Chargaff's rule tells us that guanine must also be 20%. So together, C and G make up 40% of the DNA. That leaves 60% left over for adenine and thymine, and since A and T have to be equal, you just split that 60% in half, giving you 30% for thymine and 30% for adenine. See? Simple, elegant, and really powerful. So we've built our molecule, we've learned the rules of its code. Let's get back to that original question. What is the secret to its incredible stability? What is really holding this whole thing together? And this is where we get to bust a really common myth. If you ask most people, they'll tell you the helix is held together by the hydrogen bonds between the bases, those rungs on the ladder. But that's not really the whole story. They're important for sure, but they are not the main force that gives DNA its incredible stability. The main stabilizing force, the real star of the show, is something called hydrophobic base stacking. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. The flat bases are hydrophobic. They hate water. So, like a stack of oily plates, they all press together on the inside of the helix to hide from the watery environment inside our cells. It's this inward-pressing, stacking force that provides most of the helix's stability. Hydrogen bonds and other forces play their part, but base stacking is the true hero here. So then what's the deal with hydrogen bonds? What's their job?
Well, you can think of them like very precise matchmakers. They make sure that A only ever pairs with T using 2 hydrogen bonds, and G only ever pairs with C using 3. This guarantees the correct base is always in the right place, giving the genetic code its specificity. And because that GC pair has 3 bonds instead of 2, it's a slightly stronger connection, which becomes really important when the cell needs to pull the strands apart. Okay, so we now understand the forces and all the different components, so why does any of this detail matter? Because in biology, there's a golden rule. Structure is everything. This precise, stable architecture is exactly what allows DNA to do its all-important job. And when I say precise, I mean incredibly precise. This table shows the stats for bDNA, which is the standard form found in our cells. It's always a right-handed twist, it always has a constant diameter of 2 nanometers, and each full turn of the helix is exactly 3.4 nanometers long. It's this unwavering, predictable consistency that allows all the complex machinery in our cells to read and copy the genetic code with almost perfect accuracy.
And look, understanding this structure isn't just some academic exercise. It's the foundation of all of modern biotechnology. I mean, think about it. PCR, the technology used for all sorts of DNA testing, works by separating and copying strands at precise temperatures, which totally depends on those hydrogen bonds. DNA sequencing, reading the code of life, relies on this predictable structure. Genetic engineering, which involves cutting and pasting DNA, needs enzymes that can recognize its specific geometry. It all comes back to the properties of this amazing double helix.
So from its anti-parallel backbones to the hydrophobic stacking of its bases, every single detail of the DNA double helix is perfectly tuned for its purpose. It is an information storage molecule of unbelievable elegance and efficiency. It holds the entire story of our evolution, and it absolutely holds the key to our future. The only question left is, what are we going to build with it next?